We often find, when researching an individual who worked on the railways, that their railway routes run deep, and William Noel Shelvey is no exception. Born on the 5th of March 1898 in Stamford in Lincolnshire, he was the eldest son of William Walter Shelvey and Sarah Jane Long. William Walter was a railway platelayer who had been born in Stamford. Sarah Jane Long was from Fotheringay, and the family moved to Morcott from Stamford around 1902. William Noel's grandfather James was from Deal in Kent, from a family of agricultural labourers, as so many were at the time, but he moved to Rugby in Warwickshire as an engine driver in the late 1850s. James's own father William may not have worked on the railways, but his wife's father, William Edwards, originally from Shropshire, was, being a railway guard in Rugby. So it's little wonder that William Noel ended up on the 25th of June 1912, at the age of 14, starting work for the London and North Western Railway at Morcott Station as a junior porter, earning 9 shillings a week. Morcott wasn't a large bustling station. It only had 5 passenger trains a day. Although the line itself was opened in the middle of the century, the station didn't open until 1898, the year William Noel was born. Originally opening as a 2-line station, it was downgraded to 1 line in 1907. The 1901 census shows us that living in Morcott at that time was the station master, 2 porters, 3 platelayers and a signalman, a far cry from a bustling railway town like Rugby. William Noel worked there at Morcott for a while, then, although the surviving documents don't show this clearly, he seems to have been transferred to neighbouring Seaton some time before he joined up. His family said he was a good shot, so he may have seen it as an adventure. He was clearly underage when the war started in August 1914, and he might have fudged his age a little when he did join up the next year at the age of 17, as those under 18 were not supposed to serve overseas. However, he was accepted, although he does look young in this photo of him and his friend Herbert Berridge, probably taken before they went out to France. The two had consecutive regimental numbers in the same battalion, the 8th Leicesters, and William Noel went out to France on the 22nd of December 1915, just in time for Christmas, which was held a little early, according to the unit war diary, on the 23rd December, in their billets at Belle. They went back to the trenches on the 27th of December at 3 o'clock in the morning. Going out to France, they would have wondered what it would be like. Were they prepared for the tedium of trench life? The unit war diary of the 8th Leicesters is full of entries referring to trench cleaning and clearing, of periods spent in the trenches doing maintenance and then returning to billets for training sessions. They were kept busy. Casualties were from enemy shelling or sniper bullets. The overall picture is of boredom and keeping your head down. That all changed in July 1916. Plans had been made to try to break the stalemate, and this was to become known as the Battle of the Somme. William Noel, Herbert and the battalion moved out nearer the front line. They left their billets at La Cauchie on the 5th of July at 9 a.m, arriving at Humbercamp an hour and a half later, where we were billeted in huts, some of which had roofs, the remainder having either no roofs at all or were covered in canvas, which would not withstand the rain, and as the weather was exceeding inclement, most of the men got wet through, says the officer filling in the war diary. They were standing to, so they slept in their boots. More marching over the next day, a stay in billets for a few days, then a train and motor lorry ride on the 10th of July took them to Moult on the outskirts of Albert. The attack was originally planned for the morning of the 13th, but was postponed until the next day. The plans had changed slightly. The brigade had lost the East Yorkshires at the last minute. They were needed elsewhere. It was to attack Bazentin-le-Petit Wood. Each man was issued with 220 rounds of ammunition and 2 Mills grenades. They went off in stages up the railway to Mametz Wood. In the early hours of the 14th, they set off into no man's land, heading for Bazentin-le-Petit Wood to take up their allocated positions. The enemy attacked at 5 a.m. Their colonel was killed. The brigade took heavy fire, and it may be as a result of this that William Noel was killed. Sadly, we don't know where. It was not until they got back to billets some days later that the butcher's bill, or tally of losses, was made. 310 were wounded, 10 had died of their wounds, 56 were killed in action, and 39 were missing. William had died on the 15th of July 1916. He was 18 years and 4 months old. His parents would have received a telegram with the news that they would have been dreading, and in due course they got the dead man's penny, the commemoration plaque inscribed with William's name. His mother hated it, the dull colour of it, and she painted it gold. She would receive a war gratuity and his effects and arrears of pay later. And of course his medals would have been sent on to them, inscribed with his name. The 1915 Star, the Victory Medal, and the British War Medal. His body was never recovered, and his name is carved on the Tietval Memorial in lieu of a grave. Back in Morcott, at the end of the war, his name was added to their war memorial, along with his friend Herbert, who had died just 2 months after William. William Noel Shelvey was added to the LNWR Roll of Honour. We will remember him. Each autumn, as the leaves fall and we remember the lost, do we think too of their lives before war, or do we think only of the cost of lives cut short, of the scar of grief in those left behind who did not answer the call to arms, who did not find eternal peace in death? Grief blocks our thoughts. We ought to remember those who fought and died, not through the lens of their war, but dispense a wider view, a confidence in what their lives meant to the greater whole, their lives before their fall, the happy times when all was good, to celebrate life, living, loves, to tell all their story, bring it into history, those men who worked for the railway, those men who fell like leaves on the line.